What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to JJD TV. I'm your host, Josh, and today we have brought an expert in. Today we have brought someone in who is known as the Wizard of Wonder Kids, and that is Tactical Manager. So Tactical Manager TV, how are you doing today?
Doing very well, Josh, and thank you for having me here. I am absolutely no expert. I'm just a football passionate. I'm definitely no expert, but I try to follow Wonder Kids all over the world, South American football, you know, all the stuff. But let's go on to the Wonder Kid or Wonder Child of the day.
Yeah. And one of the main reasons we need to get this guy on is because he did a Bundesliga predictions video, and he said that Dortmund was going to win the league. So obviously we had to get this guy on. I mean, he jumped.
I'm sticking to it.
You're sticking to it. I like it. We're definitely still 3 games in, but I love it. So we want to get him on the channel. I just actually watched him on Bayern Now's video, you know, with George. George couldn't believe he said Dortmund, so brought him on. So, you know, thumbs down to George. But it got me to see him and watch his video, and now he's on here with us, which is absolutely amazing. And what we're going to look at today is we're going to look at the prodigy, the young German superstar who's coming through the ranks, and that is Youssoufa Moukoko. I'm trying very hard to pronounce his name correctly. I've seen a few different pronunciations, but we're going to just roll out the video with Moukoko is the way I'm going to go with it. So tell me what you know about him.
So I'm probably going to get his name wrong too. I'm just going to say it the same way you said, Moukoko, but I have no shame. Like I said in the Bundesliga prediction video, I'll just say the names wrong. And if you guys don't like my pronunciation, I'm not even sorry for it. But let's keep going. So what I know about him is he's a goal machine. He's 15 years old, left-footed, and he plays for the U20, I believe, Dortmund team. And he's only not on the senior squad right now because he's not allowed to because of his age, because Dortmund wanted to bring him up already. He's fairly tall for his age too. He's 15, so he's going to grow a lot. I think he's like 1.8 meters height. That's like 6 feet, right? 6 foot. And that's a little I know about him. He's a goal machine. I know you want us to dig into some of his stats.
Well,
I'm excited for him in the future too.
Yeah. So he actually plays for the U19s right now, but yeah, he's got some unbelievable numbers down there. And actually, right now, I just read an article that for the Champions League, for the 25-man list for Borussia Dortmund, obviously he wasn't on it yet because he's not of age. But there's a thing on the Champions League that's called a B list, where youth players can be added to that list. So he is going to go on the B list once he turns 16 and could be eligible to play Club Brugge. So
Josh, also to keep people in the video to the very end, guys, you guys have to stay to the very end for this. So usually in my channel at the Wonder Kid episodes, we rate the player's potential from 1 to 5 stars at the very end, and we tell you what player we think has a similar playing style to. So why don't we do that at the very end of the video? So you guys should also comment down below if you have watched Moukoko, who do you think he is similar to? Do you think he's a 5-star potential? He's going to be a world-class player, 4 stars, 3 stars, whatever you want. And at the end, you'll hear our opinion too on him. So, Josh, want me to pull the stats? Want to check the stats?
I like that. Beautiful. Yeah, guys, let us know in the comments. And we're going to go over to Tactical Manager now. He's going to pull up some crazy stats about this kid.
Let's pull these stats here that actually Josh provided. He got on Twitter, and they are crazy. Guys, give a look at this. So I'll let Josh talk about him.
Yeah, I mean, he obviously got attention when he was scoring goals left, right, and center. But just if you look at just the different age groups he played for with Dortmund, at U17, when he was 12 years old, he scored 24 goals in 13 games. Can you imagine being a 12-year-old and putting up those kind of numbers with, I mean, at 12, I was probably like 4'3". I would have got ran over, but that's just crazy. And then
I was learning to walk.
He was learning to walk, yeah. Literally, it's unbelievable. But then he just got a little bit older and then decided to bang home 36 goals in 26 games. And then, obviously, when he was 14, he had to play a little bit with the U17s where he put 30 and 17, followed by 18 and 11 in the U19s. And now he's 15 years old, and he's barely being allowed to stay in the teams he's at because he just kept calling up the older leagues. And the U19, he's right now 16 goals, 9 games for a total. And look at that. Like overall, he's got 117 goals in 70 games, and he's playing so underage for every group he's played in so far. So those are some crazy numbers.
That's amazing. Looking at that right now, honestly, guys, just so you guys know, I knew about Moukoko, but I didn't know about his stats fully. I knew he has a hat trick every game, but look at this. He's 15, so he is actually 4 years. Okay, he's 16 pretty much, so he's actually playing 3 years younger than he should have for the U19. And look at those stats. Man, there's not much to say about it. So obviously the transition, and since I covered these younger players, the transition from a youth team to a professional team, sometimes it does not go as expected. So just because he's outstanding there, it doesn't mean he's going to come up. He could come up and not even be a starter, be nothing in the future. That has happened so many times in football. So obviously we have to take it with a grain of salt. But at the same time, the fact that he's 16 and playing the U19, that has to play a big role.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm gonna go up to this too. Something we talked about before is he's a fairly big player for his age. He's actually a fairly big player for U19 also. So my question is, and this is to you, Josh, would he be considered a big player with the professionals? Is that his advantage? Is it his physicality? What's his main attribute from what you've researched?
I mean, being like 6 foot, that's not a small striker by any means. I mean, you're going to see a lot of the younger players. The thing I find isn't really the height when they come into getting developed. It's the amount of meat they're going to end up putting and the amount of strength they put on their bodies when they get put into, obviously, regular training with the first team. And, I mean, if you see this kid's development right now, I mean, they're going to be very particular. Borussia Dortmund is fantastic at developing players. They know how to integrate them in the team. So I never want to be someone to criticize what they've done because we've seen so much talent come through those ranks. But I mean, at 6 foot, I mean, that's a decent size for a striker. I'm not sure how much more he'll grow, but I think in terms of just pure strength and what he's going to be able to do, I don't know what kind of striker he's going to end up turning into. I mean, with that left foot, he almost reminds me of I don't want to.
So my question is more in regards to this, and I hope he does well. I want to see more stars. We're about to lose Ronaldo and Messi, so I want to see more fantastic players. So, but my question is, 6 foot tall is definitely not a small player for the senior squad, but it's definitely not a big player.
Mm-hmm.
But for the youth team, it's a pretty big player. So what I'm wondering is, and I haven't really watched him play, so I can't tell what his main attributes are. I'm assuming you do, so you're going to get to that at the end of the video. Would him playing with players his size, not age, but size, maybe bring him down quite a bit? Like you're going to have big bodies on you. You're going to have someone like Upamecano bodying him instead of a U19 player. And that's a very physical player. How would he react to that is something that I wonder. He could destroy what I'm saying, just show up and body Upamecano instead of the other way around. But I want to see how the transition is done, because especially in Brazil, if the people that don't know, I am Brazilian. A lot of the times on the youth teams, some players show up and they're just like that. They score 3 goals per game and people say they're the new Pele, the new Ronaldo, the new Ronaldinho. And then they come up and they're absolutely nothing. Literally nothing. Like they don't even start for their main squad. So we'll have to wait and see in that regards. I just wanted to pull up one thing here real quick before I bring it back to you. It's not a big deal what I'm about to show. Definitely not as big as a deal as you just pointed out. But I wanted to show the viewers here. Look at this. So this is from Transfer Market. I'm going to read this off for you, Josh, real quick, because I think it's large in my screen. So he, in the Bundesliga for, I'm assuming this is the junior artist, so it's probably the U19. He scored 34 goals in 34 games, so that's 1 goal per game. The year before, he had 46 in 34 games. What is that? Who does that? And then he had 37 the year before. So he breaks the 34 mark he breaks the 1 goal per game mark every season.
Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely a sensational young talent. And to go on to your question, what you were mentioning about what he's going to bring when he gets to the top level, is from watching obviously highlights, and I've watched him only play like a handful of time. I'm not going to pretend I've watched every game from him, but something that I like watching about him, and obviously him being so big at his age helps, but he's got fantastic vision and fantastic runs. For a striker, which is a lot of the games I've watched him play is what he's been playing, and watching his movement on and off the ball, the way he puts himself into positions where he can break free. He's got a good first touch as well. I've seen a couple of highlight goals where he's just, his touch pulls him away from a couple players, and obviously because he's just so more developed than some of those players, his first couple of strides, he's gone. And he's also got a rocket of shot.
He plays as a winger too, right?
He can play across the front line, but I mean, right now Borussia Dortmund is looking for him for a striker position, in my opinion. Now I'm going to bring it back to you, and I'm going to ask you a question, because this is what I was talking about a little bit with some of my viewers as well as on Twitter. So I was desperate for Dortmund to sign another striker. I found the season a couple years ago where we didn't win. We didn't have a backup striker. We had Götze playing in a false 9, and we just didn't. And Paco was kind of in and out injured. He only started about 5 games, so we really didn't have a natural striker all year long. And I just assumed, because we missed out by 2 points that year, we would address that. Now, we obviously have Haaland. He is our striker. But I kept throwing out the name, and I've thrown it out countless times, is Mandzukic. I felt like a big body, a good presence to come in off the bench, just being an extra striker would be something they're looking for. However, in my opinion, I don't 100% know, the reason they didn't do that is because they want Moukoko to come through once he hits 16. He's already training with the first team to be the backup striker. And what my point was, and now I'm going to turn it over to you because you keep a lot of eyes on wonder kids, and you just touched on the fact that some of them in Brazil don't obviously reach that potential. And I don't want to criticize Dortmund because they've done so well at doing it, but they still don't have a backup striker. So if Haaland gets injured, hopefully not, or he just needs rest, it's looking like after November 20th, when he's 16, he's going to be the guy to come in. And now I just want to turn it over to you and ask you the question, how do you think they should integrate him? Because I'm a little nervous with just at 16, chucking him up into the first team and him being a night in, night out player who will more than likely sit on the bench while Haaland starts. Or if they should bring him back and forth and leave him with the U19s and potentially the second team and help him keep developing that way. And a good example is Sancho. I didn't think Sancho would ever integrate that quickly at I think he was 17, and he blew me out of the water. So with that, let me know your opinion on what you think with those.
So I'm gonna start by saying that usually when it comes to wonder kids or young players, the Dortmund management knows what they're doing. So I would trust whatever they do in that sense, and they can't be blamed if a player fails because that's not something they control. Maybe the guy's just not as good as they thought he was. But here's the thing. It all depends on the player's personality. So we have to see how Moukoko does. Well, how is his personality? And the only people that know that now is the Dortmund management, the coaching staff, and the players. Because see it this way. Neymar was brought up to Santos when he was 16. And he went there, he played, and he struggled for the first 2 years. Like, there were people calling him busts the first 2 years. But they insisted because he has a very strong personality. Neymar, you can see sometimes too much of a strong personality. He kept going, and look who he is today. He's a world-class player, has his issues, but no one questions his talent. One of the best players in the world. So it depends a lot on Moukoko's personality. If he's a timid player, if he cannot handle pressure, he will get burned from going there because let's say Haaland gets injured, like you said, then he's no longer the backup. He needs to play, he needs to perform, and he needs to score.
No,
that's the problem for a 16-year-old. Unless he has a very strong, mentality, it's pretty bad if that happens. But if he has a strong mentality, he won't feel the pressure. He'll be amazing there. I know he's practicing with the senior squad, but even when I played football in a semi-pro level, I can't even say pro level. When you do what you do in practice, when it goes to the game, it's different. It's completely different. When you go to the game, the intensity, the physicality, it's completely different. And my question is, how will he react to that? How will he react to that? Because he's playing with these U20 players that definitely are not in the level of the Bundesliga players. Otherwise, they would be playing the Bundesliga, right? And then he's practicing with the senior squad, which is not the same intensity as a game. So when he gets to a game and has an intense game against other professional players, will he perform? And if he doesn't perform, will he, because he definitely has talent, will that put him down or will that just drive him up? Because Neymar had that issue in the beginning, but that just made him work hard. So that's my only issue. But I think Dortmund has enough money to sign a veteran. If they didn't sign a veteran, it's because they truly believe this guy is ready.
And and what you just said is absolutely what I believe too, because it just, when you watch a lot of transfers, it's like, this is a shoe-in. A striker is exactly what they need. But I mean, if you look at their social media, they are broadcasting Moukoko all over the place. Every time he's in the first team, you see his big smile. You see him with Marco Reus. It is a beautiful picture. I'm a little bit of a skeptic, and I just that season where we were so close to winning the title, missed out, in my opinion, because of the lack of a secondary striker and some injuries that happened, broke my heart, and I just didn't want to see that. But you're right. They are definitely, by not signing a striker, indicating to everyone that Moukoko's going to be on the team.
They probably did an analysis on that because they have money to bring a cheap veteran that would be able to maybe not perform like Haaland or Lukaku or not have the talent, but wouldn't feel the pressure. He would come in and you know what to expect from him. But I think they know what they're doing. Just look at Giovanni Reina. He just turned 18 right now. Is turning 18 right now, and they brought him to start, and he's starting, and he's
producing.
Perfect. He's perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
They did the same to Pulisic years ago. It worked. Haaland, they brought Haaland, put him to play right away as a starter. It worked. Jadon Sancho, it worked. It doesn't mean Moukoko is going to work, but I think they're trying the same strategy.
And I agree. And the only thing in the back of my head is when Pulisic and when Sancho and now when Reina broke into this team, they obviously replaced a bit of a weak link. Not that Reina's replacing a weak link right now, just there's injuries. The thing in the back of my head is that if they bring Moukoko up and he's in this team week in, week out, someone in that starting 11 has to come out. So that means you're potentially losing Haaland or Sancho. And again, it's going to be tough to balance his minutes and determine what's the right amount of time he needs to spend up starting games with the number one.
If I were a Dortmund fan, I would have one issue with this. And the issue is the squad is already too young. So you're adding another young guy. That's the only issue I would have. The squad is too young. You're adding another young guy. So that's the issue I would have. If they could sign maybe a veteran up top, it would be better. But look, I trust what they're doing. Let's go to the final section of the video right now, which is what really matters, right? No one wants to hear us talk. So let's just go to what really matters, which is I'm not going to rate his potential or tell anyone who he compares to because I would be lying if I did that. I haven't watched pretty much any highlights of him besides a couple goals. And potential-wise, it's even hard for you to rate it considering he never played professionally. But I would like to hear from you, and I think your viewers want to hear that from you. So why don't you tell us your thoughts on that? Rate it from 1 to 5 stars. What do you think he'll be? 5 stars being Ronaldo and Messi. Okay, so if you put a little, just
okay, all right.
And 1 star being Jesse Lingard.
Jesse Lingard. Okay, well, he's a much better player now than Jesse Lingard is. But anyway, it is tough. And I am obviously a huge Dortmund fan, and I have tried to watch him as much as I can. I just not a lot of access to some of the games, but I have seen him a few times, and I'm obviously very impressed. And just reading his stats, and it's hard to justify that this player isn't going to be a potential world-class player because you see just the kind of numbers he puts up. I mean, Sancho, Pulisic, Reina, all those players we mentioned didn't have stats that popped out like this. This is next level, and at his age is ridiculous. So if you're going off of even just history of players coming through the ranks, and you want to put a potential on this kid, I mean, I don't want to put him in the Messi or Ronaldo because those are, in my opinion, generational players. So I'm going to probably put him as a 4.5 star potential just because stats alone. Go on YouTube, Google this kid, see some of the goals that he puts in. He is absolutely sensational, and yeah, I mean, his potential is the sky's the ceiling for him, and I'm very curious to see how he gets integrated in the team and how he does with that potential.
That's what I gave Rodrigo from Real Madrid, 4.5, because I see him as a future potential to be close to Neymar. So 4.5 is what I gave Rodrigo too. It's fair. Honestly, I agree with what you said. I would like I said, I'm not going to give him because I haven't seen much, but based on his stats and the hype around him and what it seems like in his age, I think anywhere between 4 and 4.5 stars is very realistic for him. Now, based on what you watched, is there any specific veteran or retired player that you would say he's a little similar to, or he's very unique, or a mix of something?
It's tough. It's tough because obviously, like he's so much younger than the people he's playing with, but he's so much bigger than the people he's playing with. Mm-hmm. He's got a wicked left foot, and just when I try to compare players, I see a left foot, and I just immediately
Adriano.
Wow, yeah, you took but like there's a few reasons. I mean, as soon as I saw him score a couple goals with that left foot, Adriano came right to mind immediately. And correct me if I'm wrong, you're Brazilian, but he can play across the front line, could he not? Adriano could play on the wings, but he's more of a striker.
Adriano was more of a center forward, but sometimes they would put him a little towards the left side. So it was a winger, but it was more so just he could cut and shoot. Like 2006 World Cup, we had Ronaldo, Phenomenon, and Adriano, and Phenomenon was the center forward. So I'm putting here on screen, Adriano the Emperor is the player that we believe he's similar to. I haven't watched much, but based on what he said, strong, physical, goal-scoring machine, big guy, lefty. That's the Emperor. And people might tend to forget how good the Emperor was. He was one of the best center forwards in the world. He had a battle depression, and that's one of the reasons his career went down. So if we're giving him this praise, trust me, we believe Moukoko can be a big player. And look, before we finish it up, before you wrap it up, I'm not a Dortmund fan. So I'm not going off hype here. It's purely the numbers. This guy's numbers are impressive. And regardless of the team, even George, the Bayern Munich fan, he has to agree with us. But I know George, in his own way, he might not agree. But deep inside, I know he's a Dortmund fan.
I know. George likes making splashes on Twitter, and he is like, Dortmund fans are living rent free right here, George. We know we are. But yeah, no, I'm definitely excited. I want you guys to let me know. I mean, there's a lot of hype around Moukoko, and we're about a month away from seeing what this kid can do with the first team, and it's exciting. I definitely wanted to cover him. I loved Tactical Manager TV's Wonder Kid series, so I thought he was just perfect to come in and help analyze us here. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'm hoping to do a little more collaborations with Tactical Manager TV, and we're going to be actually a little one over on his channel, so we're not sure exactly when that'll come out, but keep an eye out for that. But with that, guys, I hope you got next week?
Next week for sure.
Next week for sure. Perfect. But with that, guys, if you're new around here, be sure to comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.